What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to Geekcast. My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Hey, everybody.
And we also got the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, what's up, everyone? You know, and a happy belated birthday to the OG here, JC.
40, guys. I realized that I haven't done a show with you guys since I turned 40 because everyone was out the beach.
He's 40. He's 40.
Big 4-0. I still have that gluten-free beer waiting for you. So just next time I see you, man, I'll drop it off this week. I'll drop it off.
It might be one or two light because Ted had to taste it first, but
I'm sure he did.
He had to make sure it wasn't poison.
Had to sample it. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're doing. We have a very unique show for you guys today. No TV shows to talk about, no movies that we're reviewing just yet, but a lot of previewing for what's coming up later this week, and also some geeky weekly headlines. Got to drop some stuff on you guys for sure. So what we're gonna do is first talk about our March Madness event. It is the perfect casting tourney, which is in full effect. We are at the end, just about the end of the second round, and I want to make sure that I sort of get all these matches correct. So bear with me for just a second. Let's see. All right. We had a very, very close, tough match in round two. Christopher Reeve, who we actually had ranked number 1 in our brackets, was defeated by Chadwick Boseman. I mean, I could see it. I
was afraid of that one. Yeah. So,
yeah. Chadwick's a beast. Heath Ledger defeated Hugh Jackman. I did not know how that was going to go, but again, I could see it happening. I'm not surprised by it whatsoever. I just wasn't really sure. Our third match in round 2, Patrick Stewart loses to J.K. Simmons. Who had that coming? Oh man, that's
Patrick
huge,
Stewart.
Right?
Wow.
that could go either way. That one. It's just two perfect castings. To be honest with you.
Oh my goodness. And then voting is going on right now and will be for the next 12-ish hours for the fourth match. Probably the most difficult in round 2, if you ask me. Robert Downey Jr. going up against Ryan Reynolds. And real quick, let's do a quick little update on that. Right now, Ryan Reynolds is up by 3 votes over Robert Downey Jr. If you want Tony Stark to come out on top, you need to share that post. You need to tag your friends. You need to gather the masses to make sure Robert Downey Jr. pulls it out. And on the flip side, if you want Ryan Reynolds to move on into the competition, then you better start tagging your friends, sharing that post, and get as many votes as you can. That's close. That's neck and neck. It's probably the closest match we've had so far in the entire event.
Hey, we do have a first right here. We actually have Curtis Mueller. He says, invite him to join. That's like, that would be interesting.
What's going on, Curtis? What's going on, man? Curtis is also waiting for us to do our watch party this week for the Snyder Cut. And I told him we're working on something. It's just about gathering the troops, making sure that we're all on board.
I'm down to watch it again.
I want to watch it again.
Oh, you better.
If Ted's drinking, I don't know if he's gonna make it through the whole thing sober, though. That's the thing.
This is water now. I had to stop. So real quick, Curtis, appreciate it, man. Stick around, give us your comments and stuff like that, and join the discussion. We got a good show going on. Chadwick Boseman and Heath Ledger are already set up for round 3 on the left side of the bracket. J.K. Simmons is going to face either Robert Downey Jr. or Ryan Reynolds on the other side of the bracket. If I'm not mistaken, I think one of our followers actually called, is it Heath Ledger? I think he called Heath Ledger going up against Downey in the finals, and I think he said Downey would pull out the W. So I was like, I could see it happening, and we're kind of getting a little bit closer to that. So who knows? JC, has anything really stuck out to you? Any major upsets in round 1 or round 2?
I mean, the one that I knew was going to be close, was going to be tough, was Reeve versus Bozeman. That's one that could have gone either way. I mean, that's the one that's the matchup that stuck out the most. I was looking at, and yeah, that's just the one that's sticking out for me most right now. But the way this tournament's going, nothing surprises me with the result. They can just go either way, honestly.
I mean, we all had Reeves number 1, right? Or at least
I
top
did.
2.
I'm at a top 5.
I think I had.
I don't remember what mine was.
I had him in my top
You didn't
5.
have Superman top. Yeah.
I don't remember who I had number 1.
I had
Ryan
Reeves.
Reynolds as Deadpool number 1. That's why.
No, I had Reeves as number 1. I had to put the OG up there.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think I did too. I had Reeve at number 1. So it's very surprising he gets knocked out. But
I knew Bozeman was going to be in there, dude. I knew he was going to make it into at least the top 3.
Yeah. I feel bad. We had some people asking why. Oh gosh, what was the matchup? We had a first round matchup that nobody liked. It was Brandon Lee going up against Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
and people were like, that's too good for round 1. And I'm like, I agree with you. But like, if those two didn't go up against each other in the first round, they would have gone up against another heavy hitter. Like, you're gonna have a big like championship type matchup in round 1, no matter how you shuffle everybody. And we didn't do that. We ranked everybody, and that's just the way the dominoes fell. So
yeah, when you're doing just 16, they're going to be a close first round. That's just the way of it. I mean, we had the same running issues away with WrestleCast 32 finishing moves, and there's so many out there. So when you rank the top 32, you're going to get some first round matchups that just.
I was disappointed y'all didn't have the Cobra from Santino Morella.
Like I said, there's how many finishing moves out there? I think we had 100 listed that we could think of, and we had to rank it down to 32.
No Sacco?
No.
Oh.
I actually raised that question to Mike. I said Sacco didn't make it, and then how is Razor's Edge like ranked 32? Come on, man.
Look at all the moves ahead of it.
No.
Now that being said, we just had a big upset in this bracket in our second round.
Did you all have the spear in there from Edge?
We had the spear. No, that wasn't. No, I don't even think that's his finisher technically.
Nah, but it's a move.
Yeah. The Tombstone Piledriver upset the Styles Clash.
Wow.
How was that an upset?
Styles Clash was ranked number 2 in our bracket. So
again, that's one of those things where like you ranked it way higher than it should have been. Styles Clash is.
What about the pedigree?
Odd.
What about what?
Pedigree?
The pedigree.
I don't think it made it in there. I mean, when you put it up against like the Vertebraker, the Backstabber, Sharpshooter, Go to Sleep, Eclipse,
Shooting Star Press.
There are shooting stars in there. They're voting for that right now against the Burning Hammer and Frog Splash against Eclipse right now. I mean, there's so many moves out there. The Rock Bottom didn't even make it because when you compare it to how great some of these other finishers are, a lot of it is just how devastating there are. And I think so many people kicked out of a Rock Bottom to really
low key. The one that's a dark horse is Scotty Tusati's Worm. Or Rikishi's the stink face.
Yeah,
this was a great segue. I actually wanted you to talk about how your spring madness is going. So please take it away, sir.
For the most part, pretty chalk. We actually did have a tie in the first round between the 450 Splash and the Last Call. So both of those moves advanced, and we basically had a triple threat with those two and the Stone Cold Stunner. And the Stone Cold Stunner actually just won that matchup in a triple threat match, if you will. So in pure wrestling fashion, when there's a tie or a draw, it usually happens that both of the players move on, and then there's a triple threat in the second round. Hey, that's the way you book the territory. So we technically had a Sweet 17 instead of a Sweet 16, if you will. So, but right now it's pretty close. Let me see what we got right now. Right now, the Eclipse is beating the Frog Splash, and the Shooting Star Press is beating Burning Hammer. which is a pretty legendary move. The Burning Hammer actually upset the Jackhammer from Goldberg in the first round. So, and that voting's open for another 21 hours. I'm doing these like 24-hour voting turnarounds. So, and that'll wrap up the second round, and we'll move on to the Elite Eight, if you will. So, which is it's going to get tougher and tougher to vote on some of these going forward. I can tell you the matchups right now: RKO versus Sweet Chin Music.
Damn.
Vertebreaker, aka the Gringo Killer, going up against the Go to Sleep, and the Tombstone Piledriver against the Stone Cold Stunner.
That's tough.
That's tough. So these are going to be tougher as it goes on.
The Stone Cold Stunner is a classic, man. So, man, that's a real tough matchup.
Yeah.
I'd have to really think and ponder that one. I mean,
Tommy was struggling in the first round matchup because you had Steve Austin, the Stone Cold Stunner, going up against Okada's Rainmaker from New Japan, who's like the top talent in Japan, like of all time, almost arguably of all time. And that was a first round matchup. So it's very tough. Yeah. How some of these voting went down.
Tell me if I'm off base here. The Sweet Chin Music has been so used by many wrestlers since Shawn Michaels started using it, that it's just become sort of like watered down, or what's the term I'm looking for? Just everybody's doing it. Everybody has a variation of it, and I'm just like, it's no longer.
But he does
anymore. It's no longer unique.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to focus on is when it's used as an actual finisher. You know, like if I put super kick there, that's not really a finisher because the Young Bucks throw 10,000 of them a match, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong. You know how many wrestlers have used a super kick? I think every wrestler that's ever trained in San Antonio uses it now at some point in their arsenal. But when you list it as a Sweet Chin Music as an actual finisher, that's a little bit different. You know how devastating a move that is. You know, I mean, the Undertaker's not the only person to use a Tombstone Piledriver, but when you know it's his, it's a little more devastating. That sort of thing. You know.
Yeah. Or the choke slam.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. Let's put Ted on the hot seat real quick.
Ooh,
let's see what you know as far as your wrestling knowledge. What tag team was Shawn Michaels a part of before he went solo?
Hang on.
No, what tag team was he a part of before he went solo?
You're not. Oh, before he went solo, you're talking about the.
He was at the WWE at the time. It was a WWF, but
yeah. He was a tag team partner with Marty Jannetty.
That's correct.
Right. The Rock and Roll Express.
There you go.
You're talking about that's actually my time though. Like I watched in the 90s all up until probably like early.
And they used to also call them the Rockers, you know.
It was the Rockers. It was not the Rock and Roll Express. It's a
different crap.
Team. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
The Rockers.
It's the Rockers.
Well, I got Marty Jannetty right. There you go.
Yeah, you got Marty Jannetty right. So yeah.
But I guess,
Marty, what's he up to these days?
I'll leave it to the Russian judge JC to give you a point or not.
Since it's for tag teams, no, I can't say that. But Jannetty,
that's fine. Got it wrong.
Jannetty, I will say, I saw him wrestle a few years ago in RCW. He can still go. He can definitely still go. I don't know what he's up to now, but he's, you know, as you forget that a guy like that was very talented. It was just a matter of Shawn had more charisma. Shawn, you can push more. Yeah.
So. Both of them were very athletic, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very nimble, you know, for as far as what they were able to do as tag team partners. And I mean, they would put on a performance. You know, they were entertaining.
They innovated a lot of tag team stuff like double team moves and things like that. So
yeah, I still remember their flips, their back flips, all the stuff they used to do in the ring. It was something to watch when you were watching Saturday morning wrestling back in the 80s.
Definitely.
All right. Very cool. We have other things to talk about that are dropping this week.
No, we don't. I want to talk about wrestling. I'm just playing.
You can do that on the WrestleCast, Joe. We've been telling you that, man. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and do some geeky weekly headlines. Not a whole lot going on actually, because we're just so focused on what's dropping this week. We have two major projects dropping this week. First of which is Mortal Kombat dropping a new international poster. Go ahead and check that out on our Facebook page. Um, there is also the Batman. The Batman has wrapped officially. It was announced by the director, some of the cast members, that they had wrapped over the weekend in London. And so now comes the waiting game. Post production is probably going to take anywhere from 3 to 4 months. Hopefully, we get at least another teaser or something like that in the meantime. But the way things are just working with WB, they're just waiting to like the very end to start throwing trailers out. We all know that Mortal Kombat got its first trailer released like a month ago, so it's just no telling what the hell Warner Brothers is going to do with this. But I really hope we start seeing some more teasers. Yeah, Matt Reeves, he showed a picture of on his tweet over the
Okay.
weekend with a card again from the Riddler. We're all assuming, so should be extremely interesting. Let's see. AT&T had a analyst day presentation. I think it was Friday when this happened, and they talked about all of their projects that they're working on, mostly TV shows and whatnot. Threw in some video games and stuff like that. They actually put together a sort of large picture with all of their project titles listed on it, and some very interesting, not yet revealed projects were listed on there. One of which that really caught my eye was Zatanna. Zatanna, DC Comics character. There's been no real word about a Zatanna series coming out. There may have been rumors a long time ago, but we all know that the Justice League Dark series is in development for HBO Max. So we always just kind of figured like that's where she would end up, right? But Zatanna is on there as well as Batgirl. Now, Joss Whedon, who we might talk about a little bit later, was supposed to go ahead and write and direct a Batgirl film. And he, again, we talked about this before, said, I got nothing. And he left and he didn't do anything else with it. So we now know that Batgirl at least is still on the table. No other news to come of that. But I'll ask you, gentlemen. Joe, if I asked you right now, what are you more interested in seeing? Would it be Zatanna or would it be Batgirl? Not sure if these are movies or series, by the way. So which one is more intriguing to you?
I've already seen Batgirl on the CW. I got to tell you, Zatanna is kind of more of the one that
Batwoman. That's
Batwoman, should I
Batwoman.
say Batwoman?
Different character. Yeah.
But Zatanna just excites me more, because I remember seeing her, and I have fond memories from the animated series watching, Batman, and she would make appearances there from time to time, and I would like to see that character come to light, even if it's like on the small screen, for example. If it's just a series, I think it'd be really interesting to dive deep into like her backstories, her origin, and kind of show how she came to be.
Yeah, I could see that. JC, I ask you the same question, sir.
I have to go with Batgirl. I think a lot of people would like to see a true Batgirl versus what we got with Alicia Silverstone. Nothing against Alicia Silverstone. She's a great actress, but just those last two, I guess you could call them, what is it, the Val Kilmer and the George Clooney Batman. We got Batgirl and Batman and Robin, but they want to see like a true backstory on it. They
you want to see the Barbara Gordon?
Barbara Gordon and how that eventually might lead to Oracle, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would love to see that, especially with the announcement that they're bringing Supergirl in with the Flash movie.
Hey, that would be a neat crossover, JC.
What's that?
I said that would be a pretty neat crossover.
Yeah, I think you have the makings there to do something really special with that. So
man, that would be dope. I would get behind that. That'd be interesting. Maybe some point if she has a series, you can lead up to how she became the Oracle.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I'm gonna give my answer in just a second. JC, we have a comment if you want to read it, sir.
Let me pull it up here. So why did y'all get to watch it? Am I the only one that got to see it early? I think I was, right?
To
Yeah.
clarify, we're gonna ask JC his non-spoiler thoughts about the Snyder Cut. Joe and I have yet to see it. I'm holding out. I need to wait until I can have the best possible experience. JC was like, "Now, give it to me now," and I'm like,
Okay.
I'm gonna wait."
Shout out to Ryan from Mountain City Movie Talk. He was lucky for myself and Tina. They were able to get screener access, and he was wanting me to come on the show as a guest just to hear my comments on it because we've been talking about it too for so long. And was able to give me with the screener access, and we got to watch it. And I'll talk later about a non-spoiler, and I'm very thankful he did, so I can bring a little bit of what you can look forward to this Thursday.
And I've
So
been
stick
teasing
around,
you all.
Rob. Stick around, man.
Rob.
Join the discussion.
And I've been teasing you all in our private text that we have, saying that everybody's overhyping it. I'm gonna go in there all grumpy, not able to enjoy it.
I think we're all expecting that, Joe. We really are. I going back to our discussion about AT&T's Analyst Day presentation. Batgirl and Zatanna. We actually had a Batgirl, but kind of leaning more towards Oracle in the Birds of Prey series that was, I think, on the CW. I'm not sure if it was a CW yet, but she was played by Dina Meyer, very talented, very beautiful Dina Meyer. And there were flashbacks where we got to see like the best Batgirl suit like ever in a live action TV show or movie. So since we kind of had that already, I really wanted to see a Zatanna series film. I think you might be able to pull off a film if you do it really well. I don't know who I would cast. I don't have any idea right now about that, but I would hope that they would do that justice. I think if you do the Zatanna series extremely well, it would be more appealing than I think a Batgirl series really well. I just think there's more you can do with it when you're dealing with magic and you're able to kind of dive deeper into the comics and the stories and all that. Like Batgirl, we kind of know all the major villains already, right? And I don't think DC's gonna want to waste some major villains on Batgirl. So plus they're not gonna want to pull Batman in. Like there's just if you do a Batgirl movie or series, you're gonna have your hands tied behind your back because Warner Brothers is not gonna want to do as much as it can with it. You're not gonna ever see her with a Nightwing or other characters, Damian or just Bruce Wayne for that matter. I feel like that's what would happen. I'm not saying it would, but I feel like they would, kind of have their hands tied behind the back doing a Batgirl series or movie. So Zatanna would be my answer. That's what I would be most looking forward to seeing.
We got another comment from Robert Kalunga. I'm going to put it on the screen. He says, someone should expect the worst, and he's referring to Justice League Snyder Cut. And I told him that is exactly what I've been saying. I know how much of this is the thing. I'm a fanboy of the MCU universe. I'm a fanboy of the DCEU, but I'm also going to go ahead and look at it from a different perspective of I know what I should expect going in because it's been overhyped to the extreme. If it doesn't deliver on that basis, it's a failure to me. So that's all I can say. If it doesn't exceed my expectations.
But you're going in with low expectations.
I'm going in with low expectations. I'm lowering my expectations.
I'll say my
which
thoughts
is
when
fine.
we talk about it. So.
Right. And as for Rob, there always has to be someone who should expect the worst. That was you on the show, man. And now
there's two of y'all.
Because now there's two of y'all. You're on your sabbatical, we'll call it that. And now Joe, when we thought we were gonna have sort of like that one guy that's always gonna throw in those negative comments out, now we got Joe to do it for you, man. So he's got your back, Rob. He's
I'm a tough critic.
Look, stay tuned. I'll tell you my initial thoughts. I'll tell you how you should properly prepare for this film, what you should watch in the lead up to it, and in what order, and we'll go from there. That's where I'll leave it. So
sounds good. Real quick. So I think next we're gonna go ahead and talk about what's dropping this Friday on the Disney Plus streaming service. It's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Marvel Studios just dropped the final trailer for the series. That is actually on our Facebook page. Is he saying more stuff? Is that what you're doing right now?
No.
Okay.
He's
I don't
saying,
believe
look at
you.
what
I
he
don't believe
said.
you.
He says, good deal. Hold it down, Joe. I got you, man. I got you. And look at, we have JC's
Uh,
wife on here. Heels. Somebody has
Go
to
ahead,
play
Ted.
the part. Someone has to play the part, and I will go ahead and play that part to perfection.
what we got is the final trailer for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. You can check it out by heading on over to our Facebook page. Go down the timeline. It's right there. This show looks action packed. It looks high octane. It looks like a great, popcorn flick, except it's a series. And I think we're actually learning a little bit more about Anthony Mackie's character, the Falcon, kind of trying to not take over the mantle of Captain America, but feeling pressured, overwhelmed, not really feeling like he's going to live up to those expectations. So I'm glad it's not just here's the shield, there you go. There's actually going to be
Have
some
fun,
character
guy.
development. There's
Yeah.
actually going to be some character development going on with his character.
He's
And
going to say, I'm
just
not
excited.
worthy to carry the shield. I'm struggling with my own inner Falcon. I'm like, oh, if it's one of those, dude, I'm out.
Stop it! Stop it!
If it's going to be a cry fest, I'm
probably
out,
one of the
dude.
ones. You were probably one of the ones that said, "Oh, Captain shouldn't give him the shield because he's just like a regular guy or something." There was a lot of those people that watched Endgame, spoiler alert, and were just like, "No, he shouldn't get the shield because he's just a normal guy."
It better not turn into a Thor thing. You're not worthy. I'm like, dude, come on now.
It's not like that whatsoever. It's just about living up to the expectations of what Captain America means to the planet. He's a hero, man. Dude practically helped save the universe. Do you guys have thoughts on the final trailer? Joe, we'll start with you.
I mean, I saw it. I was like, oh, it's interesting. There are some interesting things going on. With the flag smashers, they're alluding to them, kind of, being the antagonist. You can already tell that this is going to be a seedy organization built on inflicting fear and terrorism. So it looks like that's the faction that they're going to be going up against. Interesting things in here with the flag smashers. One of them, or two of them, should I say, from the trailer, looked like they've been enhanced. So that's going to be interesting. How did they get enhanced, and are the enhancements permanent, or is it something more like a drug that they inject and only gives them a limited time of superhuman strength and stamina and all this stuff, like a super soldier, and does it wear off, or how is that going to work into the story? That's going to be interesting to see how they unfold that. Just different things. I don't know if they're going to refer to the ultimatum or not. Another organization that we've kind of seen from time to time play a bit in the MCU. It did with Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They kind of alluded to it, and Captain America as well. So I want to see if what's going to happen with that, And then you also have the bad Captain America, who looks like he's going to kind of make an appearance here, John Walker, and that is going to be interesting. I don't know if he's going to be enhanced, or is he just going to be the face that the U.S. government is going to want to go with to kind of be the new, so to speak, Captain America, because they're not happy with Mackie's portrayal, So something's going on in there. It's going to be very interesting to see how all these moving parts come together and how the story kind of weaves itself, because it's going to kind of be like WandaVision, I think, where fans are going to get really excited and they're going to have a lot of Easter eggs. No, like they're going to have a lot of Easter eggs. They're going to have a lot of these characters.
And Wolverine's coming, right?
Oh, Lord,
Why
have
not?
mercy.
Why not?
Don't
I mean,
bring
I made a
that
bold
evil.
prediction. I
Magneto.
stand by it. I had some balls. That's why I said.
Don't bring that evil, Ted. The thing is like, don't get too excited about what's going to happen with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All I'm saying is this is going to be its own story. Just enjoy the ride. Don't expect the introduction of mutants or anything of that nature, and you're going to be just fine. Just, it is what it is. let's see where Disney takes us on this journey. But it does look exciting. It looks like it's going to be an action-packed thriller.
All right, JC, how about you? So your thoughts on the final trailer?
I will say that ever since they announced this series, I have made it a point to not watch a single trailer because all you had to tell me was Falcon and Winter Soldier. Cool, I'll watch
All
it.
right,
That's all I need to know. I need to see where this goes, and I kind of want to be surprised by everything. I don't want any plot leaking. You're mentioning Ultimatum. I'm thinking, how many damn organizations are there? There's Shield, there's Sword, there's Ultimatum.
Hell, Hydra.
What's next? Is there Hydra? Is there the Bourne Supremacy? The Bourne Identity? What else is going on here? So
there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I want to go in with an open mind with this series and just see how they pick up from Endgame on this one. And that's kind of where I'm stand on it. I kind of wanted to avoid trailers a lot with this one to get excited about it and just see it from scratch. So
that is pretty tough to do, but probably easier to do during a pandemic because I did the same thing for Dark Knight Rises. I didn't want to watch any trailers for The Dark Knight Rises, and yet I would still go to the movies. And you know what trailer they would have before every other movie? I went to go watch damn Dark Knight Rises. So I'd be like la la la, la in the damn theater, getting weird looks from everybody else. But yeah. What both of you said, and also I'm excited to see Baron Zemo because he's one of my favorite villains in Marvel Comics. And lastly, kind of what we've been hearing about this series, not spoilers. I don't think, JC. I apologize.
No, JC.
Fine. I figure I come on a geeky show. I'm gonna have to hear about it, so it's all good. Go ahead.
This series is kind of taking place parallel to WandaVision, and I'm not trying to say like the exact same time. That way, it like has some sort of relevance or connection to it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, this is all taking place before Far From Home, which is Spider-Man
like
2.
6 months after Endgame, roughly.
Right. So this is again taking place before Far From Home. Probably around the same time as WandaVision, or probably just after WandaVision. I'm not saying that they're gonna make a reference to it. I don't think they need to. I'm not gonna be looking for it or expecting it. I think this can happen in its own bubble, while WandaVision happened in its own bubble. So I did there, and I think it's gonna be great. I have the utmost confidence in Marvel and the writers they choose for the movies and the show, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to see a high octane, lots of violence, lots of choreography, explosions, sort of something in the vein of Winter Soldier again, because that's been my favorite Marvel movie. If you watch the show, you would already know that. Winter Soldier has been my favorite Marvel movie since it came out, and if this is going to sort of be in that category of like espionage type action TV show, I'm all for it. So can't wait. That drops Friday, March 19th. We are going to be doing weekly reviews for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So be sure to join us every Monday or Sunday night, I think, when we're supposed to get together.
How many episodes is it supposed to run, though? I heard it was going to be short, maybe like 6 or less.
I kind of heard the same, but I don't know if that means 6 episodes or just like 6 hours worth of content, and you could have 30 to 40-minute episodes like WandaVision did and kind of stretch that out a little bit. You know what I mean?
I'm giving it 3 episodes. If it doesn't live up to my expectations, I'm out.
Oh, here we go.
I'll just wait for Twitter every morning and go check and see what happened.
Oh, man. He's a tough critic, guys. He's a tough critic.
Well, that's cool. One way to call him, sure.
Now, finally, for not the moment you've all been waiting for, we're going to have a lot more to say about it. So going forward, no spoilers from anybody. JC's been the only guy to see it so far from our group. But as he told me, the stuff that we've been talking about for over a year before this movie was ever announced to come out, we've been talking about what was in it because we would hear things, read things, and so I'm not going to mention anything that we've talked about in the past. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who doesn't want to get spoiled. but we're going to be talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Um, and the first thing that I'm going to do is let JC give his non-spoilery overview or summary of the movie. Just high level, high detail.
Yeah, wow me.
Let us know what you think about it, man.
Wow me.
Okay, wow you. All right, Joe, I know you followed the show before you joined us, and I know you heard we talked about long before they confirmed this was going to happen. Ted would always find news. We would discuss what was Snyder's plan. What did he have going on? What were some of the plot points? I will tell you that everything we talked about is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more to this story that we didn't even discuss that I was so surprised with. When they say 10% of Snyder's footage was in the original theatrical release, that is pretty accurate, because even the scenes that were in that you might recognize from the theatrical release, they're so completely different. Better CGI, better context, just much more better, well done. I will say it's a lot more refreshing to see this film without a mustache to worry about. That's the damn sure part of it. And honestly, it does not feel like a 4-hour movie. It just does not. It's from the start to the end.
So I'm not going to get some Return from Middle Earth vibes from this thing?
No, you definitely won't. You definitely won't. Obviously, empty your bladder and pray that you don't have to pause and go. But if you have to, don't hurt yourself. That's not healthy. But
I love Robert Kulunga, man.
Yeah.
Look at his comment.
I know, that's Rob. I'm ignoring him. No, but like I've said, this is a mess. This was such an amazing film. The scenes were so much better done. It's a travesty that the original film has Snyder's name as a directorial thing, because it's not his vision. There's some similar plot lines, but it's just much better. It's beautiful.
Oh.
It's a little masterpiece, and I'm so excited for you guys to see it.
Look at
Rob, you
man.
too.
You're in rare form, brother. He
Uh,
quit blowing
now,
smoke up Snyder's ass, JC.
I will say this, as far as the presentation of it, at least on the screener access and the way we've seen the trailers, it's all been like a 4:3 look. And if it comes out that way on HBO Max, do not adjust your sets. That's the way it's intended, because I think this was intended as an IMAX styled release. And Snyder makes good use of the entire screen. So if this ever comes to an IMAX release, it's going to look great. Everything there is just going to be beautiful. So that much I'll say. I know Ted's thinking, "Oh my God, please
what
don't."
will
don't give me
happen if me and Rob are on the show together, man? I think we're going to break it.
Yeah. I don't know. Rob, what do you think, Rob?
We're going to break this damn thing.
Oh my God. You guys are going to love it. And if you don't, you love this, you just don't comment. You just don't love, you just want to hate. That's really what it comes down to if you don't like this film. So
no, it just means that I might have a different opinion than you.
Yeah, but you're wrong.
No,
I just, it's a wild ride. It's a lot of fun. Like, I think I posted mine and Tina's initial reaction. That was literally like when the movie was over, we were just speechless for a good 5-10 minutes. We just couldn't believe we saw what we did. And we just put a quick 2-minute non-spoiler initial reaction. And we had trouble getting to sleep that night because we just could not stop talking about the film. So everything about it is beautiful. The CGI, the character change. I mean, to say Steppenwolf is not a little bitch anymore. He's feared, and for good reason. So
for sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, everything is awesome.
So. Rob, man. Wow.
Yeah.
I say,
look
bring
at what
it. Bring it, Rob. Bring it.
He put "Laugh My Ass Off, Forget NWO Takeover" back in.
But we know what happened to WCW, don't we?
Hey.
Rob needs to get on the show, dude. Yeah. That I need him to watch like the Justice League, Snyder Cut, and then come back on the show, with me and everybody else, so we can go ahead and unleash.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun.
I think, for anything, Rob would be impressed with how Batman comes across in this film too. I know he's a big Batman guy, so he'll be very excited to see how it comes down.
And real quick, you wanted to also mention to people what they need to watch, right?
Yes. So
I think
highly
there's two in
recommend.
there you got to watch for sure.
There's three, I would say.
Ooh.
Obviously three. So obviously you want to see Man of Steel. Then you want to see Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition. You
Only.
want to only see that, and because those extra 30 minutes, A, make that film better, and B, actually tie into this film a lot. Now, Suicide Squad, I will say, is optional. You can see it if you want, but it's not the director's cut. It's not the true version of Suicide Squad we want. So watch it if you want. It's not required. But definitely watch Wonder Woman again. And I would say watch those three films, Man of Steel, BBS Ultimate Edition, and Wonder Woman, and then go right into Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it'll flow perfectly. You need those first two to just get right into where this is going to go. And then obviously Wonder Woman, you'll get her backstory because they do make references to that as they did in the theatrical. So those are very, very important to watch leading up to this. And if you do it in that order, by the time you get to Zack Snyder's Justice League, you'll forget that there was ever a Justice League movie years ago.
Is it going to make me forget there was ever a Wonder Woman 1984?
Since that takes place at the end, just stop it. Just stop
Or
it.
do I have to get my magic rock?
But a lot of things make more sense the way this is cut too. Yeah, I mean, you'll appreciate. I'd say Ray Fisher's reaction to seeing it, the way he posted on social media, is I think he's pretty excited, especially the way his character comes across too. Is pretty damn awesome.
So basically, what it is just a completely different movie.
I would say yes,
Okay.
completely different. Ted, Aiden, I know is a big Flash fan. He's gonna love this. He's going to love the Flash in this film. I
believe it. I believe it. Everybody, for sure, gets their time to shine in the Snyder Cut, both from just what we've been reading about, what we've been hearing about. There's been like some rumors that you can actually dispel, like that's just a long shot, not going to happen, that we never actually talked about. But there was a lot of other things where we're like, okay, that makes sense. And so we would talk about like how each character would have a lot more to do, would be more valued in his original script. Somebody asked me online, Alex Alpha, who's been a follower of ours for many years. He said, please explain to me the significance of this addition to the one we've already seen. And because I've been chatting with Alex for many years on a lot of different movies, I took it as a genuine question and replied. And I said, the original script by Snyder and Chris Terrio was filmed with roughly 4.5, and I actually think it's closer to 5. Around 5 hours worth of footage. According to Zach, they recorded about 5 hours worth of footage. With the tragic passing of his daughter, Warner Bros. Decided to bring a new director and force him to rewrite or even reshoot roughly 80% of the film. JC's probably saying that's closer to 85 or 90% of the film. That became the theatrical release. The Snyder Cut is all original footage plus an additional one scene. We're pretty much sure it's just one additional scene that he's added. I think we've already seen kind of a clip of that. And then
and even that scene, there's more to it. And I will say it's probably one of the best Batman Joker interactions you will ever see in your life. Yeah, it's amazing.
My only thing
that
I always come back to is, I understand, that we got the theatrical release that we did, and this is a completely different movie, so it's like, I gotta wipe that other version out completely, and this is something so new. I gotta look at it with completely open eyes and an open mind.
Yeah, you have to remember, like, this version was Snyder's second draft of the film. The first one was a little bit darker. The exec said we want something a little lighter after the way BBS was received. So he wrote that. They filmed all that footage, and then the execs didn't like it because I don't think they fully understood what he was going for. And they wanted it to cut down to 2 hours, whatever at most. And then obviously we know his daughter passed. He tried to work on it for a couple months to get his mind off it, couldn't do it. He stepped away. And then Joss added chingo some more lines of the script, had to reshoot everything. So it was the Justice League, as I think it was called before. You can tell it was a Frankenstein cut. There was so many plot holes in it. The way they cut it just did not make sense.
Yeah, it just didn't have a lot of fluidity. You could tell.
No,
Yeah.
no. And seeing it now the way it was intended, and the beauty of it is, as the director's cut, everyone's like, well, it's 4 hours. Like, I don't think there's any point in this movie. Everyone's like, why did you do 2 parts? There's not a point in this movie. You can just stop it and go.
Yeah.
And I think what helps it also is that they put the title cards, part 1, part 2, there's 6 parts in an epilogue. So it's that alone lets it flow better. And it's just a wild ride. You just don't want it to end at the end. I definitely will say that.
But it'd be interesting after they do all this work to it, and they make it this epic, grand, a cinematic adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where do they go after this?
It's a lot of fun.
I
just said it on Alma City Movie Talk. We did a non-spoiler review. He gave my rating of it. I flat out think, and I'm 40 years old. I'm not as old as Joe, but I've hit the 40 mark. I've been alive for 4 decades. In my lifetime, I've seen so many comic films. This is the best one of all time, in my opinion.
Hey, that's high praise. That's high praise,
but
right
you're already 40, so in Ryan's eyes, you're an elderly gentleman.
Yes, yeah. And
thank you for that, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan.
I'm old enough to remember going to games at the Hemisphere Arena, the scariest upper deck ever. You trip, you're probably going to land on the court. So,
good times.
I've been there. I've seen it, and I've seen so many of these comic films. I've been teased for being such a geek, for loving this stuff, and this is better than anything I've ever seen. So.
Oh, Ted froze on us again.
It's not only the original concept of Justice League, but it's like JC kind of already said, it's a more cohesive sequel to BVS. Any of the cringe-worthy parts you probably saw in the theatrical cut of Justice League was most likely added by Joss Whedon. And that's not to say everything was Joss, but all the corny jokes, all the one-liners
you don't get any of that.
All the cheesy one-liners that didn't hit, all of the awkward dialogues that happened. There's this one scene that I'll never forget. It's between Bruce and Diana, and they're talking about like whether or not to bring back Clark, and they kind of just get frustrated with one another. It's like the first time they actually had this like heated debate between each other, and just the way they were delivering the lines was awkward. And I'm just like, how was this a take? How did they not do this again? It just felt like they were just going through the motions and nobody's acting at any point.
But I did like the Flash's comedic one-liners. Pet Cemetery. That was funny.
Some of the Flash stuff was pretty good, but I'm just saying a lot of the things that sort of felt off or just felt like awkward or cheesy or silly, I think most of that's gone, and JC already knows for sure. But that's just to say that this is going to be a more cohesive, let's just call it a trilogy, right? Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League, the Snyder Cut. This is a more cohesive trilogy, like how Star Wars 7, 8, 9 didn't feel like a cohesive trilogy because they weren't. This feels like it's made by one person, written by one person. It's within the same universe.
Look, JC, all the characters. We got a legit question from one of our viewers right now. I'm going to put it on screen.
Go for it.
And what he's saying.
Shout out to Ryan, though.
Yeah, he's saying Bartholomew Cortex on YouTube. He's saying, I want one answer, simple. Think about the answer before you tell me. If you can't tell me without spoiling it, then don't answer. He goes, question. Does Steppenwolf actually put up a fight with Superman? He doesn't want you to ruin it for him, but
I don't want to ruin it. I really don't, because I feel if I answer this the way I should answer it, I'm gonna spoil
ruin it. Okay.
Yeah. So I can't answer that.
Okay.
But I will say the Steppenwolf fights are so much better. And I'm talking every time you see him on screen. I'm talking every time you see him, the mascara, the stuff we've seen, the Atlantis mother box, even the big fight at the end. It's so much better. Like you feel that he's a threat, and not so much his dialogue, just the way his CGI is. everything about me feels like a threat. So
Ryan, he says, "Can I answer it?" Ha ha ha. No, Ryan, you're gonna ruin it.
I got you to go nearly an hour, Ryan, without spoiling a damn thing on your show. Don't do it now. So I think I'd say when we all finally get to see it, we'll kind of hold off for at least 48 hours before we spoil anything on social media pages. I think it'd be worth it.
Well, thank you for your honest answer, JC. I think Bartholomew Cortex says, "Thanks, guys." If that reply right there from JC says everything, just watch it. You'll probably be pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
And be sure to join us next week, Bart, when we talk about our spoiler review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'll be honest with both of you guys on the show right now. JC, I think, has already heard me say this. If I have an opportunity, and there might be one, to see this in a theater on a big screen, maybe it takes a week, maybe it takes a month. I'm waiting to see it in the best possible environment I can. I don't want to waste my first time viewing it by any means. So I want to see it in the best possible experience I can get. And
come
if
to
it
my
takes
studio.
a little bit longer, it might take a little bit longer.
At your house. I mean,
come to my studio. I have a 120-inch screen projector, my own little home theater here.
And you don't need a widescreen to see it. So I mean,
just saying.
That's for damn sure. So
that's true. Not a widescreen, but even just sound quality, I want as close as I can to the theater experience as I can.
Bartholomew says, I'm pretty sure it's in theaters June 10th. I haven't seen anything like that domestically. I don't know if you're international. I know right now there's actually to clarify, Ryan, we talked about on your show, it's slated for a Blu-ray release only in Germany and Australia in May. No word yet on if it's coming to Blu-ray in the United States. I would hope so, but it's not likely, at least not yet. But if there's a limited theatrical release domestically, I guarantee those tickets are going to go quick. And I'll be fully vaccinated by then, so I wouldn't mind going to see it. But So
I'm working on my shot too, because I want to be able to see something in the theater in the near future.
Yeah.
I'm also going to add that whether or not you put any stock into it, Rotten Tomatoes is a review system which basically says thumbs up or thumbs down. And Zack Snyder's Justice League is currently at 75%, which is actually not bad for a comic book film. And for those that are giving it bad reviews, I would actually say that 75% of them are just about how long it is.
Yes.
And if your only complaint, or if the majority of your complaint is how long a movie is, I don't even know if you should review it, because no matter what they do in a 4-hour time span, if you are just complaining about how long it is, no matter what they put into it, then it's always going to be a negative review. So if that's what your sole negative review revolves around, I don't even know why you publish it, but that's what the majority.
They don't have any knowledge about the characters or their backstories, or this is their first entry into watching this type of film.
I mean, if you watch those movies to set it up, and obviously a lot of the reason why it's such a long length too, and why you're able to do it, is because it is a director's cut. Like, if this was originally what we're going to get years ago, I'm sure if Zack Snyder presented this, they would have said, okay, can you cut off 30 minutes? Can you cut off 45 minutes? And then they would release that in theaters. It'd be better than what we got. And then you would get this version on a Blu-ray release like months later, a director's cut. And I think the fact that it's on a streaming service gives you that freedom to do such a long movie. Obviously, if this was intended as a theatrical release, it would be a little bit shorter. But because it's an HBO Max exclusive here anyway, because this is a director's cut, you have the 4 hours, because if you need to take a break, and I don't know why you'd want to, you can pause it, do what you got to do, check on the kids, use the bathroom, get something to eat, and then get right back into it, So,
yeah.
Hey, Bartholomew has a good point. He says, the way I see it, if you couldn't care less about this film, then sitting on your couch for 4 hours won't leave a good memory. And he's exactly correct. The people that aren't fans of this type of genre, of this, type of film, they're just going to go in there and they're going to instantly hate it,
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a film, whether you're a casual fan or a hardcore fan, you're going to enjoy. And even if you're a big Marvel guy, you're gonna appreciate just how great this film is. So I mean, just if you're a comic fan in general, I think you're gonna love it.
Look, Rob says he just watched Chaos Walking in theaters. I heard that was a stinker. Was it any good? Robert, let us know.
Yeah.
I asked him to see what he says. He says it was interesting, different in a good way.
Okay.
All right.
I'll trust his judgment because he's pretty much spot on like me.
I don't know. Listen, that's why Rob needs to get back on the show. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, your favorite Marvel movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That was his favorite.
All-time favorite Marvel movie, and that boggles my mind. And then I think like Winter Soldier wasn't that high on his list. Again, I could be wrong, Rob, so correct me. Winter Soldier wasn't that high on his list.
Ant-Man and the Wasp wasn't that bad. It was pretty good, dude.
It was pretty mediocre.
It was all right. It wasn't as bad as Thor: Dark World.
I mean, yeah, but you're talking about the worst. It's not as bad as the worst Marvel movie.
That's including everything we got. And
Iron Man 2 was a stinker too.
Well, that's another discussion.
Which one?
Iron Man 2. That was horrible.
Yeah, it had its moments. Definitely wouldn't put it in my like top 15. I mean, we did the Marvel movie rankings like a year ago. So yeah, we all had
interesting choices.
Pretty
interesting choices, but a solid list overall.
Oh, Rob, man, Rob is killing me, dude. He says steady is pretty mediocre.
Say it to my face, Rob. Get on the show. Say it to my face. All right,
man, Rob, you need to make an appearance, dude. This dude is gold, man.
Oh, here we go. These guys are gonna be best friends, I tell you.
And we put Jericho in the mix and turn him to the dark side. We'll be unstoppable.
Speaking of which, Dusty, if you've ever watched this, you need to see this film. And if you know Dusty, you know why he needs to see this film. So,
I actually did talk to him the other day. So yeah, he's pretty stoked to see it too. Shout out to Dusty wherever he's at.
Used to be a Marvel fanboy until I started watching and reading DC.
Ooh.
It feels like a breath of fresh air of a more dark and gritty tone without corny jokes being forced every second. Yeah, that's DC in a nutshell, and I think that's what Snyder has captured so well in his version of DCEU. I mean, there's a little bit of humor in there, but it's not forced. It feels fluid. It feels organic. It feels natural.
Yeah.
But this is a darker tone now. Do I think it's as dark as say BVS was? No. I mean, he said it. BVS was intended to be the darkest of the movies, and it's going to be a little bit lighter tone. But I will say this one's definitely more violent. So
there you go. You know what's interesting is earlier Rob actually asked how it holds up to the Justice League animated films, and you would probably say that it kind of is more like those animated films of Justice League.
Probably. I mean, those films. I can't recall a bad Justice League animated film. That whole sequence. The ones I'm thinking of, like I think it's like the New 52 sequence that they did.
Sure.
Those great story, keeps you in the whole way. This is kind of on par with those, but obviously live action, a really good character development, and a bit more violent blood, if you will. So
here's what I'll ask last, because JC's seen it. We already know he loves it. Joe, we've already heard from you that your expectations are kind of low, but what is like your expectation? Are you thinking it's going to be on par with the theatrical cut? Is it going to be worse, slightly better, way better? Like
here's my fear. Here's my fear going into this movie.
Uh-oh.
Everything's been changed so much, that it's entirely different film. So I have to go in there and completely forget about the other film that we have all watched before. This is going to be something completely different that stands completely on its own, apart from what we had already seen. My fear is, okay, we go ahead and watch this. This movie is like, if it's so grand and so epic, like everybody's saying it is, what does that mean for the continuity of this film compared to the other films that came prior to it? Is it going to be so good and grand and epic that it changes the entire continuity of what the DCEU was supposed to be? Like,
No,
in other words, we never got to see it fully realize its full potential. Only
no,
this one film.
because Aquaman was made with this film in mind. Um, Wonder Woman made with this film in mind. Even Wonder Woman 84 was made with this film in mind. Obviously, you have your opinions about that. Fine. Shazam, even on some level, probably would. I think that someone made a comment before, one of the directors have said they consider that Joss Whedon Frankenstein version of Justice League non-canonical, if you will. Like every film that has been made so far in the DCU has gone with Zack Snyder's vision of the Justice League movie in mind, what we're about to see this week, or what you guys are about to see. So honestly, like we talked about it with Aquaman, some of those continuity things that we talked about and how that tied in. After you see this film, Aquaman is going to make even more sense on those little things.
But I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't care for Aquaman. It was kind of, to me, it was just like ho hum. It was okay.
Yeah.
It just didn't like. It wasn't a film that really jumped out at me that said, "Wow, this was amazing." I just watched something really good. It was okay. And that's my honest opinion, because I was
Sure.
a big fan of Aquaman. I've kind of read those comic books. I know these characters, and I just kind of feel like that movie didn't really deliver on the expectation that everybody was wanting. While it's hard to do a lot of things with film, I completely understand that. You're in a condensed time, only so much things, only so much you can show and do within the context of a film. So I'm just gonna go in and watch the Justice League with an open mind and just try to enjoy
Yeah.
it as much as I can.
Speaking of Aquaman, I'm convinced it's like in his contract requirement he has to have his shirt off like at random times whenever he wants. So for the ladies out there, enjoy definitely. So
The ladies and Rob, of course. Yeah, that's what it's for.
Bartholomew had a comment. No matter how bright the future of Justice League films is, Warner Bros. Just screws over it. I've been saying on this show that the response in this film gets, if we finally get it, that makes Warner Brothers to like, okay, let's jumpstart. This is our reset point. Let's keep going with what Snyder had, and I hope so. I have a lot of hope for that. If there's something this film and Young Justice has taught me, is that the fans have a lot of power in what studios do, and Young Justice, Snyder Cut do not come back without the amount of fan support. So if after you watch this film, if you are dead serious about wanting to see Snyder finish what he intended, what he had started, and believe me, by the end of it, you're going to want him to push for it on social media, make it happen. You need to show these execs, these corporate a-holes that run the studio that don't know a damn thing about comic films or how to make a movie, that you need to stay out of the way and just let it happen, and you'll make money off of it. And trust me, it'll be worth it.
Look,
Yeah.
Ryan has a point. He says something about Aquaman. He put, not just that, but all in water. Ha ha ha. I said people always complain about the CGI for that. It's hard to do CGI underwater. I'll be the first one to admit that. They have trouble with it in film. They have trouble with it in video games. It's one of those tricky, physics to get just right. And it always, if you don't do it just right, it just looks a little weird. Like the whole thing with Aquaman is the whole underwater scenes, they just looked a little blurred at times. It had this weird little glow to it. It was just strange. In other words, it just didn't have like a good fluidity to it. Look at Robert, man. I swear, dude. So not only is Steady mediocre, but so are his jokes. Wow.
Wow.
And Bartholomew Cortex, he has another comment here. He put, lest we forget, they are making a film, Flashpoint, to erase all of what Snyder has built.
Yeah, and Bart is not far off in that theory, because it's something that we've all kind of talked about, and it's almost inevitable, because we know that Flash is going to be their own Flashpoint. It's not going to be the comic book Flashpoint that we all know and love, but they are going to do just something along those lines where Barry goes
the irony of that
back in time. And
the irony of that is that when you see the Flash in this film, what they set up showing off what he can do, that actually sets up what happens in that movie. Believe me, like you can't convince me what's going to happen in Flashpoint happens if you don't see Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That's awesome.
So-
I like that. What was I going to go with that? I think that a number of things can happen with the Flash film, but the fact that they're actually not just focusing on going forward or back in time, but they're actually crossing into multiverses because we are going into the Keaton '89 universe, I think, is interesting. And so, if you wanted to, you could actually leave the Snyderverse alone because you're going into another multiverse. Let's just call it Earth 2, even though CW set up Earth
Prime.
number
Earth 89 or something. Was that what they called
80.
it? That was the
it
Batman 89.
Yeah,
it might
Batman
be
89.
89. It might be 89. So CW set up.
I'm happy with the way that
Isn't the
ended up.
Superman and Lois based on Earth Prime or something like that?
Earth Prime in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I love the show, by the way. So
Oh, it's really
It-
good. Really good.
I gotta get caught up. I was just gonna say if Warner Brothers wanted to, right, going into a multiverse and then coming back into Flash's own Earth, they could leave everything alone, or they can make it so when he goes into another multiverse and he comes back, things are altered. Maybe his past is altered. Maybe it has ramifications on his own Earth to mess with another Earth. So a number of things can happen. JC is optimistic about the future of the Snyderverse, and I've already expressed my feelings on the show. I'm happy enough with the Snyder Cut. I think this took a lot of fight. This took a lot of patience. This took a lot of uh, perseverance to just get the Snyder Cut out. And we had some allies for us with Warner Media that was willing to shell out $70 million just for VFX company to go and finish the already um, shot footage for the Snyder Cut.
And we have another comment here from Bartholomew Cortex again.
yeah, there's a comment. I'm
Let
gonna
me
Go
put
for
it
it,
on.
Bart.
He puts, what are y'all's thoughts on Jared Leto's Joker? Look, man, I'll be honest with you. When I watched Jared Leto's Joker, the interpretation of the Joker, I'm not a fan of that. However, just seeing what we've seen based on the trailers and little, snippets that we're getting, this Joker does seem a lot better. I'm
He-
interested to see how his portrayal comes across in this version.
you will think very differently about him after this, and yeah, you definitely will.
I hope so. It looks a lot better. Even the dialogue, the way he was speaking, everything. I liked
said
it.
I don't know if I said on this show or the last show, but the interaction between Batman and Joker, best thing I've ever seen. Yeah, and obviously with the way the Joker we got of Suicide Squad is not the way it was intended, and
Yeah.
I'm giving Jared the benefit of the doubt, and this will kind of redeem him in a way. I think Rob asked, are all the CW shows based on Earth Prime? The mainline ones are, but as I understand it, Stargirl is not. That's a different
Right.
Earth, and
So is Titans.
So it's Titans and Swamp Thing, if they continue it, because I know they put it on CW. That's a different Earth in itself as well.
Wow,
So,
it's going to be interesting how they're going to be able to continue that series.
hey, like I said, if the fans want it to happen, bring it back.
Yeah.
Hashtag bring back Krypton. That needs to finish.
I was a fan of Krypton. People didn't like it, but I actually enjoyed it.
It was
Reading the way-
good, man.
Season 3 would have opened up. I want to see it. So, yeah.
You had to invest the time into Krypton and to really appreciate what they were trying to do with it. If you just watched 1 or 2 or 3 episodes and you're like, I'm out, you missed out.
It's the best version of Doomsday we've ever gotten to.
It's the best version of Brainiac we've ever got.
Brainiac too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really
mean,
well done.
And Zod wasn't too far off either. Like
No.
Zod was pretty spot on, I think. So yeah,
There were a
that
lot
show
of
had
twists in
going
this
for it.
storyline. There were a lot of twists in that storyline that kind of kept it fresh.
I agree.
Ryan differs, but he's a hater when it comes to Krypton. I think that
Maybe he just doesn't like Superman. Maybe he wants to be super. You're super, Ryan. Maybe he's mad because you don't let him use the cape, JC.
Let him use the cape, JC. Come on, man.
Not that point of the story yet. Because we have Bartholomew, because we have Nicholas's Joker, the Clown, Keith Ledger, the Terrorist Phoenix, the Tragedy. What are we missing is the Crazy. Yeah, I think you kind of got a hint that that's what they intended with Leto in Suicide Squad. Obviously, a lot of his scenes got cut out, and you get a bit of that in his scene here. I definitely say he's the crazy one, but yeah. So
Rob says he predicted that Krypton wouldn't last long, and I'm going to respond with, "No, sir, that was Supergirl. You thought Supergirl wasn't going to last more than one season, and I think we got like 5. So
yeah.
you still owe Dusty tacos."
You know what? I would do. You know what? If I lost a bet and I had to buy you all tacos, it would be gas station tacos, just out of spite.
Laredo tacos, are those any
No.
good?
Nasty picnic tacos, man.
Depends where you're buying from. But,
All right.
Or the Roach Coach tacos, you know,
Picnic. Yeah.
where it has mystery meat, Ted. You don't know if that's carne asada.
You know what? Yeah, I can't wait to see what Little does. Bart, I don't know if you actually heard or not, but you're not far off when you mentioned earlier that Warner Brothers is kind of meddling and screwing up everything for everybody. David Ayer was also one of the directors that got his movie pulled away from him, Suicide Squad, and they edit their own movie and they put it out themselves. So even David Ayer has, like, I think he claimed around like a half hour of footage of the Joker, of Jared Leto's Joker, that didn't even make it into the film. And he says he's got his own cut. He's got a cut that makes more sense, that's more cohesive, that flows better. He says his cut is the one he wanted to present. He didn't get to, though, because the powers that be at WB, the executives, took over and did whatever they wanted with his movie. Listen, Warner Brothers, unfortunately, made a lot of mistakes. Some probably can't be forgiven, but I think that one of the ways they're learning from it is by letting go of their control to a certain extent. So you have a guy like James Gunn, who's already completed shooting The Suicide Squad, and he's already said, like, nobody at Warner Brothers is bothering him. Um, Nobody's going up to him talking about how long it needs to be, what needs to be in it, what needs to be taken out, nothing like that. James Gunn says, I have 100% complete control over his movie.
Good.
That can't be said for the original Suicide Squad, or that can't be said for BVS or the Justice League, the theatrical cut that we got. But hopefully this means Warner Brothers will be out of the way going forward, and directors who are clearly talented, who clearly know what they're doing, will be able to just put forth like a great product for fans. And I think that's just what we all want. And
Ryan says something too. He said Joker was supposed to be main villain.
Yes. From the original Suicide Squad.
And Suicide Squad?
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I said in the lead up to watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, Suicide Squad's optional because it's not the true version of the film. If we ever get an Ayer cut, go back and watch that in the continuity, because all these directors like Ayer, Patty Jenkins, they work with Snyder on the films they directed because they wanted to make sure it fit in with what he was trying to do.
Yep.
And that was very, very important. So the fact the studio took over Ayer's movie didn't make it what it was intended to be.
Yeah, I didn't actually hate the Suicide Squad. I was just kind of disappointed because I wanted it to be a little bit more, and it kind of didn't deliver on that expectation as one that's, again, really knows about these characters and read the comic books. I wanted a little bit more, but I went in with an open mind because I knew it was going to be a tall task,
Everybody wanted more Joker, and that was the character that suffered the most. So.
Yeah, not only more Joker, but there's just some things that the film they released in theaters didn't earn. So like the squad sort of acting like a family coming together towards the end of the movie to like defeat this evil villain never really earned that in the film. They just kind of like had some shots of tequila together and we're like, all right, let's go, team.
Kind of just threw it together.
And I'm like, yeah, this doesn't feel like they really earned this like family type moment.
The dialogue was a little off-putting too. It didn't seem natural.
Yeah, that might be another thing, like, where it's got Frankenstein in,
Yeah.
little reshoots, things like that. So,
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's like the worst comic movie by any
Yeah.
means. Robert says he enjoyed it. I had fun too. I had fun watching it, but I was also like, this is a really awkward like movie, and just like the flashbacks with uh the flashback they did in the middle of the movie that didn't really feel like a flashback. It was all just like awkward. Like whoever edited the movie d- really didn't know exactly how to present it, and
They
so
didn't
it
think it
came
out.
out very confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seemed pieced together. It didn't have that fluidity that you wanted
Yeah,
to it. Maybe if it was cut in a different manner and it was edited a little differently, and when they put it together, maybe it would have been a little bit better as far as the delivery. But
there were
who
parts of it
knows?
that were still fun, though.
Yeah,
Some of
there
those
was some
interactions,
parts. Yeah,
but yeah, there's room for improvement when you try and fit it into the overall arching story.
yeah.
So,
yep. All right, hopefully something like this, if it goes really well. David Ayer, we're looking at you, man. Let's get the Ayer cut released on
peace.
HBO Max, and I think his movie's already like done. Like he doesn't even need money to kind of finish it. Like they actually did all the VFX work and everything. He has a finished, polished product ready to go, but it's under lock and key
Hey,
over at WB.
if you leak it, I won't tell anybody. Just saying. Here.
All
I'm just
right.
saying.
All right. Well, JC, any final comments, any final thoughts on the long-awaited Snyder Cut, which you had an opportunity to check out?
It's worth the hype, and everyone just enjoy the ride. You won't. You'll probably be as speechless as Tina and I were after it was over. We probably took an hour afterward trying to get to sleep. We just couldn't stop talking about the film. And Tina needed coffee this morning. I wish I could drink coffee. I probably would have gotten some myself. But enjoy it. Just enjoy the ride, everybody. It's
Yeah.
going to be a blast.
I'm just showing the last few comments between Rob and Ryan. Their dialogue.
Those guys are getting into it or what?
Yeah, they're just talking back and forth.
Let's see here. Rob says, I would ask Gunn to prove it. Ryan says, Guardians? Yeah, Guardians 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And Rob says, I didn't expect much from Suicide Squad, but I'm glad it was at least a fun movie. I agree. And he also says Guardians is DC though, so it doesn't count. You mean Marvel? Guardians is Marvel. Doesn't count. Ryan says David Ayer don't think so. Difference is he's has a lot of filmmaking to do. What are you talking about? The guy made Fury. The guy wrote ton of great films. End of Watch. He directed End of Watch. David Ayer's on point. David Ayer is a great filmmaker.
You have another comment here from Bartholomew. He said, when I looked at ZSJL plot, it mentioned Desaad as a villain. If they went that far to include him on the list, then does he play a pretty large portion in the movie?
Yes and no. Communicates a lot. It deals more with Steppenwolf on that. Yes and no. There's an involvement with that. You see a good amount of more than I thought you would see of Darkseid in this film. That for sure. Whether it's the flashback and stuff like that, you see more of that. And Desaad plays a pretty decent role. So
and Rob and Ryan are going at it, dude.
They sure are.
Yeah. So Desaad plays a good role. We've talked about Granny Goodness. I won't spoil it. Just enjoy it. So
yeah. Well, thank you for not
Please
spoiling
don't.
it, JC.
Hold on.
Appreciate it, man.
So, hold on. I will ask not to spoil Granny Goodness, but we will see a actress.
yes.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. All right.
It's not Betty White, but still, it's pretty
I
cool.
told you it wasn't going to be Betty White. Why would it be Betty White?
Why not? No, it's not Betty White.
It was Hugh Jackman playing.
Oh my God.
Granny
Forever,
Goodness.
JC, they're gonna give you flack about that. Hugh Jackman, dude.
Hey, that's fine. I'll own it. I had balls, like I said, to predict it. Why not?
It was a
been
bold prediction.
Hey,
Very
man,
bold, very bold.
I thought there was ever a moment, but yeah. So
Well, I'm excited because like seeing her in the trailer was just like, oh my god. Now knowing that we will there were some rumors that they were just gonna do like a CGI face of like a nobody, just random kind of
from what
design.
I can tell it's an actress. There's nothing CGI about it.
A
So.
well-known actress.
I don't know if it's anybody well known.
Okay,
but,
that actually scares me a little bit.
Yeah, but you see the character for sure.
Just be surprised, Ted.
I will. No matter what, it's gonna be great. I already got my Dark Side shirt on. I already have my Justice League cap in the mail on the way. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Man, Ryan and Rob are taking off the gloves.
You're gonna catch a lot of references if you're a hardcore fan. You're gonna catch a lot of DC references too. So
yeah, Robert and Ryan are taking off the gloves, man. They get in the ring.
We still need to get them together to debate Rise of Skywalker, just the two of them.
Oh gosh,
my God, dude.
Have they ever been on a show together? Ryan, Rob, you guys
You
ever
know
been on
who
a
else
show?
needs to enter the fray? Jeff Garcia.
Oh gosh.
God, dude.
Queen of England, yeah, honestly, the Queen could have played Granny Goodness. That would have been great. I mean,
hey, that would have been awesome.
Even after the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview, she's got a lot of good press. So but yeah.
Yes. So to Bart earlier, he said he already knew Granny was in the movie. We all know she was in the movie. I was wondering because we all had earlier on a different show, we were all trying to guess like who would be a great Granny Goodness.
Yeah.
And we all had our own specific picks. JC's was Betty White.
Great.
And we're just hoping that it's somebody we would recognize, not just kind of
partial
nobody, but
to Kathy Bates.
It's not Queen Elizabeth, but damn it, I wish it was. Now that he said that.
You're making a great movie there, Bart.
Yeah. That's bolder than Hugh Jackman. So
Ryan says they were on 2 shows together. I'm trying to figure out which one. Not Play Live, the grand opening, because you guys were on separate shows. Okay, so no, we did that one segment, but I don't know if he's counting that one.
We might have done like
on
a Marvel discussion, but never a Star Wars thing.
Okay, yeah, we got to figure it out.
Man,
we
we
just got to get them back
happen,
on another show
though.
together.
We got to make that
Yeah,
happen.
Ryan, they have a Blu-ray release, by the way, so I would love that.
We got to get Rob, Ryan, and Jeff to talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Just want to referee that.
Oh gosh.
No, don't even let him. Just go.
I'm not gonna be on that show. I'm just telling y'all right now.
I'm not
gonna be on that show.
I'm just gonna sit back and watch it.
I've already killed that movie to death. I don't need to spend any more time on it. It's all good. I've already moved on. I've already moved on with my life.
You made peace with it.
That was a dark time in my life. I've already blocked it out. It never happened. The sequel trilogy never happened.
You cried at the end of that movie because it was so bad.
And you know what happened? The second season of Mandalorian happened, and all is well again. We all know what I'm talking about.
There you go.
The Star Wars universe
my God.
has been corrected.
See what y'all did? You opened Pandora's box. Look at Ryan. Already, dude. Rise of Skywalker is shit. It's just terrible. Here we go. You opened Pandora's box.
Yeah, actually, and Rob, if you're still watching, you better just expect to be on this show whenever we get the next Spider-Man movie out. Right? It's just going to happen. Like you're under contract.
She said it. She wants another debate. She'd probably buy tickets for that too, because the Spider-Man debate was epic. I mean,
I've had people tell me too. When is the next Spidey debate?
Mm-hmm.
We should have a Spidey debate, because I went back specifically to watch the Andrew Garfield portrayal of Spider-Man just for JC. And when I look at it from a different perspective, it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. And Andrew Garfield was actually a pretty decent Spidey.
Still the best portrayal of it live action, in my opinion. I mean,
it's your opinion, and I can see where you're coming from. I can see that because of the way he portrays the character and his, quick wit and his jokes and just the demeanor, And
it's his brain, how he develops everything on his own too.
Yeah. So I can see that.
Ryan says, Andrew emo depressed Spider-Man. You could that could also be a reference to Toby. Toby was also an emo depressed
Yeah.
Spider-Man as well. So yeah.
Garfield was
When
more like
will
emo. He was just pretty lighthearted. I mean, he portrayed it more. He's dealt with some shit, dealing with his parents passing, and then of course the Uncle Ben thing. But yeah,
Y'all should
but I
have.
thought a couple of things here. I hope she's referred to as more badass name other than just Granny. I will say she's not referred to by name, but you do get to see the character for sure. The Venom 2 trailer drop. Good question. I want to see it too. I don't know if we have any news on Venom 2 yet, but
Yeah, nothing yet.
I'm not even sure.
Y'all should do a
when,
Spidey debate, and I'll be the referee. I just want to see y'all go.
I'll get Iliad on my side because he'll back me up that Andrew Garfield is the best.
I
one.
won't even say anything. I'll just referee it and run the stuff behind the scenes. Y'all just go.
Yeah.
You know, Bart's not wrong. Like Venom 2 is scheduled to be released in June.
Yeah.
And
they had said something online though that there was supposed to be a trailer release, but they never really said a date.
A lot of trailers are coming out later now. I mean, Godzilla versus Kong is in what, 2 weeks? We barely got a trailer like a month ago, you know? I mean, a lot of the trailers now are just kind of like late in the day. So unless Venom 2, they plan to push it back, which is a possibility. You know, who knows what Sony's going to do with that. So,
okay, so let's also not forget talk about Venom. It's fine. Venom 2 is being directed by Andy Serkis, very talented, the amazing Andy Serkis, friend of the show, by the way. Got a chance to meet him in San Diego, and he actually says that he's just hard at work. He says he's kind of not working. He's kind of not worried about marketing right now. That's all gonna happen very soon, but he's just hard at work. He says he's had a blast working on the film. You know what? I mean, that's just a recipe for success, right? Tom Hardy, Andy Serkis, like it's so many great pieces. You just really hope for a great sequel to the first one. The first one was fun, wasn't amazing, but it was a lot of fun.
Me and Ryan are kindred spirits. Andy is not a director though. It's going to be tough.
Hey,
he's
see it, you know. So I mean,
every director's had their first film, and it's just all about like giving a guy who's worthy enough a shot and see what he can do.
Well, this isn't his first film. That's the thing.
He's been in how many films and does mocap for how many characters?
No, he directed that Jungle Book film that came out on Netflix. It was directed by Andy Serkis.
That's right. I forgot about that one because Disney came out with like 2 Jungle Books around the same time, didn't they?
Yeah. Bartholomew, what's the possibility for an R-rated Venom? I think very good. I think what Deadpool has shown is that R-rated movies can happen and be successful.
Oh yeah.
And I feel as dark as Venom gets, you kind of have to make it R-rated. You know, I don't remember if was the first one R-rated or was it PG-13?
I want to say it was PG-13.
Okay.
It should have been rated T for terrible.
Bringing Carnage into the second one, you kind of have to, by definition, make it R-rated.
No, that Venom movie was trash, bro.
Yeah, it's PG-13.
That was no good. No bueno.
It was entertaining, but it wasn't like going to blow anybody's minds whatsoever.
I saw it again to try to give it another shot, you know. I just recently watched it like about a month or 2 ago. Still didn't change my mind.
Very nice. Well, gentlemen, I think we've come to just about the end of our show here. And it's exciting. What a week. It's crazy that I'm still saying this out loud, and it's true. But this week, the Snyder Cut drops. What used to be a fable, a myth, something that fans argued ever existed, is now about to be watched by millions of people around the world later on this week. And it's amazing. It's a great time to be a comic book fan. It's a great time to be a DC fan. And thanks to everybody involved, Zack Snyder, Warner Media, Jason Kilar, who's the CEO of Warner Media. Yeah, I mean, all the fans.
This symbol means hope, right? If you have hope and this day and age, a good social media following, you can make anything happen if the fans really want it. So I don't think this is completely over for Snyder yet. At least I hope not.
Yeah.
I do think that there's a very small chance that probably HBO Max can do a spin-off of some kind.
Animated.
Joe,
I said animated if you don't do live action. Why not? So
there's a number of things. Joe, I always get his last name wrong. Manganiello,
Yeah.
who
Manganiello.
plays Deathstroke.
Slay.
He actually had a script for a Deathstroke movie. And like it was gonna be probably hard R, heavy on the choreography, like a great origin story, if you will, and stuff like that got canned because Warner Brothers didn't want to take a risk about coming out with a solo villain movie. And then they did Joker, which made $1 billion in the theaters. Not to say that Deathstroke would get $1 billion, but half a billion at least would be great. What I'm just trying to say is I think this might leave an opening for more spin-offs, whether it's Deathstroke, whether it's stuff in the Nightmare sequence, whether it's Jared Leto's Joker, just to go off and do his own thing. I think HBO Max is now going to be that medium where you can take more risks, the risks that Warner Brothers doesn't want to take. That might be your only spot, your only chance. At least getting Affleck into the bat suit one more time. I know he's going to be in the Flash, but in my head, I feel like he's going to be just a couple of minutes doing a cameo, and then that might be it. And then we might not ever get Affleck in the cape and cowl again. So, kind of hoping that something else happens with this guy right here, Affleck, and maybe HBO Max would be that one spot.
If they bring Deathstroke, then Trigon has to come in as well, since Slade is cursed by Trigon.
Can't die.
Can't die. It's possible.
Interesting.
I would like that. That'd be dope.
I wanted to give a shout out to my niece. She picked out my shirt. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's Pac-Man. My
It's like,
10-year-old.
the Beetle Pac-Man
Yeah,
thing.
Beetle Pac-Man. She picked it out for me. And then she legit had like a 20-30 minute debate on me, debating the existence of Bigfoot, and went on to tell me why he's not real. She's something else, man. She needs to have her own show.
Ryan, again, hope. Don't give up hope. I don't think this is the end for Affleck, but he loves the character. He wouldn't have done the reshoot if he didn't love the character. So.
And he wouldn't also be in the Flash movie if he hated the character. So, I mean, again, things are happening.
The biggest reason he stepped away in the first place was because he was dealing with his alcohol issues, and
Yes.
he's sober now. He's done with that sobriety, and I think he would love to have a second chance to, he's sober to get that done. He would have the motivation to do it, and who knows?
There you go. One last thing I forgot to call out in our geeky weekly headlines was that Doremu and Nickelodeon have announced a new Ninja Turtles video game based on the original 1987 animation style. Think about the arcade. It's along those lines. So, Shredder's Revenge coming to PC and consoles very soon. Most likely this year. I don't know. They didn't give an exact date, so let's just probably shoot for summer, fall, maybe release.
Late summer, early fall. I know it's already on Steam. You can add it to your wish list. They're not taking pre-orders just yet, so it's already on my wish list. I know that 2 of the developers of the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World video game are working on this game as well.
Hey,
that's a promising thing. From what I call in the trailer, I really hope it's running on the same or similar engine to the Super Nintendo version of Turtles in Time, which, in my opinion, is like the best one. Just how it worked out, how the commands were. It was. And perfect.
We talked about this too. How you get
memories.
the character, how you get the foot soldiers, and you throw them at the screen. Me and JC were saying that you were in control of that. And go on. What were you saying, JC, about that?
Yeah, in the arcade version, it was completely random, but in the Super Nintendo version, they made it to where you had to press a certain command. You could throw them at the screen. You could slam them, things like that. The only thing it was missing was the 4-player action. So if they allow the 4-player, if they give it that similar engine where you throw it at the screen, it opens up a lot of doors, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun to play. The studio, Dochemu, I forget how to pronounce it. How do you say it, Ted?
I don't even know how to say it. The studio.
I said Doremu. Doremu?
Yeah.
Doremu.
I mean, they did Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
They're working on Windjammers 2, which, having played the demo, I'm super excited about. Windjammers 2 is going to be a blast. And I think this is going to be really good. They're bringing back some arcade releases. And I'm looking forward to a full adventure because, as I understand it, you're going to go to Dimension X for part of it.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
I call Leonardo right here, right now. If we're going to go ahead and play on Twitch, I call Leonardo. I have to be Leonardo.
Oh, come on. What?
I have to be Leonardo. I already called it. JC was witness to.
I'll take Mikey.
That leaves you with Donnie or
I'll
Raphael.
go Raph.
Well, if my wife plays, she's going to want Raph. I'm just telling you right now.
I'm going Raph.
Okay, well then you're reduced to Donnie now.
Raph.
Tina gets first dibs.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I call that out because we had a ton of people talking about it on our social media when it dropped, and even more on Twitter. We had people talking about it all day long on Twitter. So yeah, that looks exciting. Can't wait for it. As soon as more news drops about it, better believe we're going to talk about it and definitely stream it. And they're right, JC.
Oh yeah, definitely. We still got to get back on the Scott Pilgrim stream because
I'm ready to go too. I'm downloading the game this week. Yeah, I'm downloading the game this week, and I can play. My thumb is fully healed.
That's right. We were waiting for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be an epic week. We have the Snyder Cut dropping on HBO Max, and we also have Falcon and the Winter Soldier getting released on Disney Plus this Friday. Be sure to check back every week as we follow up on our discussion for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're going to be discussing every single episode, every single week. So be sure to check back.
And Bartholomew had one last question. He says,
"Sure, go for it."
Again, trying to answer spoiler free. Did Snyder do Darkseid dirty by making him more of a monster without that intellectual side? We at least need a scene with his arms behind his back. I will only say that if you are a fan of Darkseid and you know how good the villain is, you will like what he's done. You will like what he's done. He has a major part to play in this story.
Cool.
So,
Rob says, "Isn't Steady so bossy in games? Do you want to win or not, sir? Get in line." Anyways, yeah, tremendous week. Can't wait to talk about the Snyder Cut. Next week will be our spoiler-filled review for the Snyder Cut, and be sure to check back on our Facebook page. Going to announce hopefully a watch party later this week where you can chat with us or tweet or text with us while we're all watching it. So be sure to check back on Facebook, and we'll go ahead and announce that date and time later on. For the countdown to the Geekcast, my name is Teddy. With me on this episode is Amanda Miss, the guy who's already seen the Snyder Cut, the one and only JC.
Enjoy the film, whether you're for Darkseid or for the Justice League. Have fun with it, and maybe they'll release it early. Do you think HBO Max would just surprise the world and just drop it a day early?
Could be.
Why not? Why not? Why the hell not?
We'll see.
Maybe
enjoy it. I can't wait for everybody to see it. So.
And we also got the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia.
And thanks everybody for watching. We greatly appreciate all your interactions with us, all the comments. Rob, Ryan, y'all were hilarious. Bartholomew Cortex, we greatly appreciate you sticking around and talking to us. We can't do the show without the fans. Again, we appreciate you guys.
Ryan, thanks again for the screener access. Much appreciated. So
we'll talk to you next week. Go Team Darkseid.